All right, let's go. I'm Patrick Brady, chair of MBTA's Young Professional Group.
I'm Orion Breen.
And this is Maine Better,
where we discuss community and connection for the Maine Better Transportation Association.
Today we are with Gordon Page, who is running for the District 12 Senate seat. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you are running?
The reason I'm running is I think we need to bring some level of civility back to the State House. There seems to be an awful lot of discourse that is less than pleasant under certain circumstances, and especially now with the COVID restrictions that are going on. Needless to say, I didn't make my decision after COVID. I made my decision to run quite a while ago, but we're all put into this position right now to try to make the best of it and to see what we can do to get along. I want to be able to go to Augusta and help people and work on behalf of the people of Knox County. I retired from my full-time work in January, and I've been terrible at retirement. I've been dedicating an awful lot of time to campaigning and trying to meet and greet as many people as possible.
What was your full-time work?
For the past 6 years prior to my retirement, I was the executive director of Rockland Main Street, which is the downtown revitalization program for the city of Rockland. I was really pleased with the fact that I was able to put together and foster good relationships with the municipality leadership.
What was your involvement with the railroad?
I was a vice president of Maine Eastern Railroad, which was a subsidiary or DBA of the Morristown and Erie Railway in Morristown, New Jersey. And the Maine Eastern Railroad had the contract with DOT to operate freight and passenger service on what is known as the Rockland branch between Brunswick and Rockland, as well as a freight operation on the Atlantic branch, which is exclusively located in the city of Rockland. We ran passenger excursion service connecting to Brunswick. We were in operation before the Downeaster made it to Brunswick from Portland. Yep. At which point we were able to make some connections to bring people up from further south. The freight operation still exists. I left the company in 2013.
Do you have any hopes for rail in Maine for the future? Is there any particular direction you'd like to see it go?
I think rail is critical to the continued success in the state of Maine. You know, freight especially. My experience with the passenger excursion, we really didn't consider ourselves transportation of passengers so much as it was something to do, something to give people a chance to ride an old-fashioned railroad on a legitimate rail bed for 57 miles. But when it takes 2 hours and 10 minutes to go from Brunswick to Rockland, nobody does it for anything but the pure pleasure of riding a train. Freight, I think there's some opportunities for improvement on freight throughout the state of Maine. If you ask anybody in the rail industry, you'll recognize that much of the existing rail system is not up to full par. A lot of speed restrictions involved, a lot of slow orders, a lot of construction that needs to be done and upgrades.
Is there anything the state can do to help that?
The Rockland branch is owned by the state of Maine, between Brunswick and Rockland. I'm not sure, other than working with private operators to help them with federal grants and so forth. From a municipal perspective, certainly states can help cities and towns that assist them with road repair on railroad crossings, grade crossings, and things like that.
Can you tell us some of the specific transportation challenges your district faces?
We think that Knox County is really a transportation hub when you consider the fact that it is served by rail. There is the Knox County Regional Airport. It caters to a lot of private planes, but it also serves those passengers on Cape Air, direct air service to Boston. We have the Maine State Ferry service in downtown Rockland, which services 3 of the islands. Obviously, US Route 1 splits Knox County in half, running through a lot of downtown. Main Street in Rockland is US Route 1.
You said Knox County is a transportation hub. Why is that important, and is there anything the state can do to support that?
You know, the state went through a process not too long ago on fees for ferry service that created a lot of discontent on the part of island communities. I think there's going to be some opportunities down the road to take a look at all of that. The airport in Knox County, it's a lifeline for the islands. Penobscot Island Air is a privately owned operation that does mail service, medical runs, grocery runs. It's really critical to the infrastructure there to make sure that there's that lifeline.
What was your first car?
It was a 1960 Rambler Classic push-button automatic transmission. I think I paid probably 75 or 80 bucks for it. It was really interesting to have a push button transmission. Sit there and it's in park and you push a button with your foot on the gas and you could leave a little patch. And that was always exciting.
Why did they phase that out?
You'll have to ask Click and Clack that. I don't know.
What's been the best road trip you've ever taken?
When I was 17 years old, I hitchhiked from Tewksbury, Massachusetts to Youngstown, Ohio. 12-hour trip, took me 5 rides. I'd no sooner get dropped off in the middle of places like the New York Thruway, and another car would immediately pick me up.
Was that your one and only hitchhiking experience, or is that a relatively frequent affair?
No, back in the late 60s, very early 70s, hitchhiking was a perfectly legitimate way to get around, and that's what my friends and I did.
Do you have any thoughts about transportation funding? I know it's a perpetual challenge in the state of Maine.
The gas tax probably is something that could stand looking at. I'm not a big let's tax everything guy, but at this particular point, especially with gasoline prices being so relatively low, if this isn't a good time to do it, I don't know when is. You know, we can do transportation bonds till the cows come home, but, you know, I'm not sure that that's the best way to go about it. I don't know that we'll ever get rid of bonds, but perhaps there's a way to whittle those down and whittle down the reasons to acquire bonds, how we pay for things in an efficient manner. I think of the number of times I've gone through a road construction site. Many of the contractors are limited by certain municipalities or even by the state. You know, you can't fire up your equipment until after 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning. And, you know, we need to have you off the road, the cones back out before rush hour traffic. There's not a lot of rush hour traffic in Knox County, but you see my point. I think too often we're not being as innovative as we should be in some of those instances on contracts. I think that contractors should be given a greater opportunity to do their work in a shorter period of time.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us, Gordon.
It's my pleasure.